my sound better for you? Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. And I'm going to get the chat pulled up. My mic's not working the way that I want it to, so we got our mobile mics here. Let me know if you can hear me okay. And we are going to dive into it. It's been so long since I have been live, and I miss you guys. So I hope you're all doing well. But please let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. Hi, Kitty Castle. Yeah, it's been a long time. I go live multiple times a week in Reseller's Edge, but here on YouTube, it's been a minute. I'd like to get back to doing them weekly. I know I've said that a lot, but it is definitely a goal of mine. Thanks, Dwayne. Audio's good? All right, awesome. Well, I want to allow for a lot of Q&A. So if you guys have any questions at all, start getting those in the chat. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to try to be on for about an hour, and then I've got to hop off and go hang out with my hubby who's going to be making us dinner. But I wanted to hop on because there have been so many just changes, like platform changes, just lots and lots of changes. And I see the reseller community blowing up over it. I am not somebody who ever wants to be like a news reporting channel. So even though there's lots of stuff going on and I do want to talk about it, that's just not me. You got to be like the first one to do it. I don't know if you've noticed that about most of those channels, but like you have to be the first one to report on it. And I can't make that happen. So I'm okay not being the first one to report it, although we do talk about it in our community. So there's lots of great videos out there. And I just have some thoughts on it. And I know you guys have asked me a lot of questions in the comments on videos. So I just wanted to go through them really quick. What I'm going to do is just blast through some of them and make sure everybody has heard of them. And then if you do have any questions about it, you can put them in the chat as I'm talking, and then I'll go through them afterwards. But there's actually a lot of people that still haven't heard about some of these. So I definitely wanted to cover them. Again, I'm never going to be the first one like jumping out and doing it. That is just not me. Hey guys. Hey Lisa. You were just telling your sister that you would go on my lives all the time. Well, here I am. Hopefully we can do them more. I think they're so much fun. So I'd like to get back to doing them more. Thank you, Lindsay. All right, so let's hop into those and let me know what questions you guys have. And I will still extend live Q&A. So even if it's not related to these changes, you can start getting those questions that you want to ask me as well. Hey, everybody, 80 people watching. Man, thank you guys for coming. Such late at night. I don't think I've done one late at night like this before. If you could give me a thumbs up and boost that. All right, so eBay promoted listings change. I wanted to talk about this one first. So in short, what's changing? Because I think it is very complicated and I don't want to go into the details, but what you need to know about it is that they're changing their promoted listings to include that if anybody clicks on your listing at all, whether it's the person who buys it or not, if anyone clicks on one of your listings that is promoted on eBay, then you're going to get charged the promoted listing fee when it sells within a certain time period. And a lot of the concerns have been, and like I said, there's great videos out there and lots of good comments and discussions, but one of the questions that has been asked is, well, as resellers, don't we go on and like comp items? So we might click into some stuff. So isn't that going to cause more charges? And the answer is yes, essentially. So the way I'm looking at this is if you are going to promote, you should assume the worst. You should assume that basically if your listing is promoted, you're probably going to get charged a promoted listings fee. There's kind of two different ways of looking at this, in my opinion, which is you can either keep doing what you're doing with promoted listings and just, again, know that you're probably going to get charged a promoted listing fee, or you can fight back on eBay and completely take down all of your promoted listings. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do yet. We're still deciding. I knew that this was probably going to happen like many months ago because they were testing it out in other countries. I was hoping that it wasn't going to work in other countries, mostly because I don't want it to come here to the US. But apparently whatever happened is more for the benefit of eBay in those other countries. And I know in other countries, resellers have fought back against eBay and they still decided to bring it here to the US, and they're still doing it in other countries. So I'm not hopeful, and maybe you don't want to hear that, but I'm not hopeful that it's going to go away, even if a ton of resellers don't. So I think we just need to make a decision and move forward with promoted listings. Nikki and I were kind of talking about maybe we should continue promoting to kind of see, just get the analytical data just for the reselling community, I guess. Like, how is it going to impact our store? Because we use our store as an experimentation store. And then the other part of me is like, I want to fight back eBay, but do I really think it's going to do something? I don't think so. So that's the eBay promoted listings change. If anybody clicks on your listing at all, not even the buyer, you're going to get charged a promoted listings fee. I did pull a report for our stuff, and about 80% of our listings sell with promoted anyways. So for me, it's not that big of a change to keep promoted listings because it would only be a 20% difference. But if you're somebody that's like, hey, only about 10% and I'm promoting my whole store, then that might be a decision that you want to make for your own. Something else with eBay besides promoted listings that has come up within the last several months, I think it was September this dropped, but I'm not hearing a lot of resellers talk about it. So I just wanted to bring it up in case you missed it, which is that eBay announced automatic feedback. Hey guys, sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat. I'm going to get through all of these and then I'll go to the chat. Let me know if there's a troll in the dungeon. That's all I ask. So this happened, I think, in September, but not a lot of people were talking about it. So I just want to make sure you guys knew. Couple behind the scenes updates with eBay, but one that I thought was important was they're doing automated feedback. So if this is wording from eBay, most transactions do go smoothly. And if you provide great service, then eBay is going to automatically provide feedback on your feedback page for that order, even if the buyer doesn't. And so the criteria for that is it's a successful transaction, meaning it's been delivered. The buyer doesn't have an issue with it. You ship the order with tracking and it arrived on time. The buyer hasn't left feedback and the buyer hasn't reported issues. And so you may have seen these on your store already, coming up with your automatic feedback. Like mine says something like, seller shipped on time, item was as described, something like that. I think this is a good thing for us, especially newer sellers who are struggling to get over that hump of activity in their store and they want feedback and they don't want to look like they have a 0% feedback. I think this is really good for that. So I want to let you guys know that was going on. If your buyer does decide to leave feedback, it's going to replace that automatic feedback. Something else that happened, last one on eBay, and then we'll dive into Poshmark. Oh, Poshmark. Oh, all of the platforms. Is the item not received? This was another one that kind of went under the radar. I think this happened in October maybe, but there's new seller protections for shipped items if your buyer says that an item's not received. So I'm seeing a lot of people talking about basically shipping delays. Hey, I shipped this item out, but it's not arriving. It's been however many weeks, which is really not good. It's not good. But then you're having buyers claim that they're not receiving it and you're wondering what to do. So I just wanted to note this. First of all, eBay is going to protect you, period, if the item gets delivered within the time window and it shows delivered. If your buyer says they didn't receive it, that's always been protected. But what's different now is if it doesn't deliver within the expected time frame, your buyer can do an item not as received claim, and then you're responsible for refunding them if it doesn't arrive in time. Now, the problem is USPS, especially during the holidays, has issues with delays. And so what do we do in that case? It's not showing up. It's not our fault. And so they put this into place, which is basically they're going to have a claim. You're going to refund them per eBay's order. And then if that item does end up getting delivered, eBay will go back and like give your earnings out to you. So it takes care of the buyer and it takes care of the seller. So I'm just seeing a lot of talk about that. And by the way, if you're newer to reselling, expect delays. Expect delays with any of the carriers. It's definitely going to happen. All right, let me check our chat here. Before I move on to Poshmark, I see some questions about Poshmark. Change per promoted fee from 4% to 2% and your sales increase. Yeah, I also have this other way of thinking that's like, well, if all the other sellers stop promoting, then I probably won't need that high of a promotion percentage, but I do variable with a cap anyway, so it should adjust. Yeah, eBay can get a whopping 2% from me. All right, guys, let's go to the Poshmark changes. Poshmark, man, they have been, it's been a lot. They are going through it, I guess is what I'll say. We did sponsor a booth at Posh Fest. And so we got to see some of the behind the scenes. And I'll just tell you, it felt so different than every other Posh Fest. The vibe was not vibing. People were very upset. It did not seem like a lot of people were happy or having fun. And that was just way different than before. So they've had both CEO changes and I just read an article. I forget what she does. It has something to do with the tech department, but one of their like main corporate people also just stepped down. So they're going through a lot of changes and beyond what they're presenting to us. I've seen a lot of videos talking about what's actually on the site as far as Poshmark actually updating publicly. And then I've watched a lot of videos about people saying they've talked to Poshmark employees, which I'm personally choosing to believe because it makes sense. So here's some changes on Poshmark. The biggest one is that their search engine has changed. And instead of the prioritization being recently shared or just in, the new prioritization is more like eBay. So their biggest focus right now is taking whatever you put in your listing, whether that's pictures, drop downs, titles, description, all of it. And they're taking the information that you give it, and then they're sending it in their algorithm to get it to the right buyer. So buyers who have searched either the exact items that you searched or have previously searched those items, and it's kind of like tailored to what they want. So basically, Poshmark's algorithm now works like eBay. And in my opinion, if you are somebody who was on Poshmark because things were easy and you didn't get on eBay because things were hard, reason to not get on eBay now. Are you guys still with me? I just saw my page refresh. Let me know if you're still here. I had to quit Poshmark. Too many transitions for me. I'll come back later. Yeah, it's been a lot. Okay, cool. So if you're somebody who has not gotten on eBay because like Poshmark's been easy breezy, it's kind of going to be the same thing now. The only difference is like the shipping, and it's easier to run sales over there. So in my opinion, like you might as well go ahead and get on eBay now. I'm not telling you to leave Poshmark. But what I am saying is that it's about the same difficulty. And on eBay, you're going to have significantly more buyers and significantly more chances to sell. So for that reason, I definitely think it's worth getting onto eBay if you're somebody who's on Poshmark. Just want to let you know in one of your videos, there was a craft and borrow shacket that you sold. I saw one while thrifting, bought it, and it sold within 4 days. Heck yes. I love that. You just heard that they're going to go back to priority shipping soon. Oh my gosh. I can't with the backtracking, you guys. What was it with their fees? They changed their fees. Everybody was upset. I was actually happy about it. It actually helped my sales. I was happy about it. I was sad that they retracted it. And I thought it was a bad move on their part. Like, as a business, that is not something that I would do, because that would tell my sellers that, this is just me being blunt, but like, that would tell me that, hey, we're a business who, if our sellers throw a major fit, we'll backtrack in like a few days, even if we think it's what's best for our business's bottom line. And that's not what you want to be known for. I hope they don't. I actually think that the ground advantage is better, because it's better for buyers, which in turn, they're getting a better shipping rate. So they're more likely to purchase from you. And so for that reason, I actually like the ground advantage. I was really upset when I was like, oh my gosh, all my free shipping supplies, but now they have the free shipping supplies. So I don't know about that. I'm not sure if that's true. That's the first time that I've heard that. Desiree got her ground advantage packages today. Yeah, ours have been rolling in for a few weeks. I'm very happy to get some in. Let me know if you still haven't gotten yours. I think everybody's are rolling in now. I did talk to the postmaster at my post office, and without giving away too much, I believe that they're probably getting rid of priority mail at USPS, possibly altogether, or getting rid of the express. And that's like, priority mail is going to be like the new major top of the line express. That's personally what I'm anticipating happening. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. We'll see. All right, so we have the SEO changes. I personally, I'm seeing a lot of sellers say, this is how you need to make your titles now. This is how you need to make your listings now. I would just caution you guys from changing everything, because as we know, Poshmark could back out of a lot of things. And Poshmark has also said that one of the reasons that they're doing this is that they can't figure out data and analytics as to what's actually selling and all of that. So in my opinion, Poshmark is still working through what their search engine is going to look like and what their algorithm is looking like. They're waiting for data with this new one, and I have a feeling they'll change it again. Personally, for me, I would not destroy my entire store thinking that a title had to be a certain way when they might change it again in the future. And that's just how I operate with like all changes, because they could backtrack it. It could change next week. And my titles personally, I recommend making your listing the way you would on eBay. And I start everything on eBay and then cross post, and I don't change the title. So the search algorithm's pretty much always been the same for me, which is you're trying to get the right item to the right buyer and target that buyer as much as you can and lean that way. So they have a big focus on getting items to the right buyer. So it's more important now than ever. They are also prioritizing in search. I heard this at PoshFest, that they're prioritizing people in search closets who are regularly active and have good customer service. So your shipping metrics, your response time, when's the last time you were active on the platform. They literally said that those things are going to affect where you show up in search. So you want to make sure that you're responding to your messages. You want to make sure that you are active regularly. By the way, I also heard, I've tested this out too. If you get on Poshmark, the desktop, it doesn't seem to update your last activity, but if you do it on the app, it does. So personally, I'm like getting on Poshmark on the app like once or twice daily and checking a couple notifications just to show activity. But you definitely want to provide what you should, in my opinion, already have been providing, which is good customer service and being regularly active. And then the last thing regarding SEO, kind of tying into the customer service part, is I heard rumors, and I'm not sure exactly because Poshmark's not openly come out with it, but I do trust the person that said it because other things that they said have been true, is that there are rumors that their cancellation policy is about to be like eBay, where it's going to get stricter and there's basically going to be an allotment of how many you can do, which I can totally see happening because they're already cracking down on excessive listing. And so their algorithm's tracking those kind of things. And so it just makes sense that they would also track cancellations and stuff like that. So I'm just letting you know, I heard that that's about to happen. It kind of makes me a little nervous because not that I like go around canceling orders at all, but it's like a safety net for us because I know if something does happen, like previously, a couple things would double sell. It wasn't often, but I knew I could cancel it on Poshmark without repercussions and protect my eBay store. That's potentially going away. And so I'm just like preparing for that now. I think because I switched over to Nifty and it's so accurate, I'm not going to have that issue. But it is something to be aware of, and make sure you get like your ducks in a row with inventory and all of that. I think if that's true, it's probably going to happen towards the beginning of the year. So just get your ducks in a row, and it's stuff that we should be doing anyways. All right, another update, which I don't like, and they announced this at PoshFest, is they're going to take every single one, this is Poshmark, every single one of your cover photos, which is the first photo in your listing that your buyer sees, and they're automatically, without your consent, white backgrounding all of your cover photos. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I don't like that I don't have a choice. And I also don't like that all of our listings are going to look like very, very similar and can't stand out. So this is not an update that I like, but it's happening. And I have heard that Apple gets the updates sooner than Android. I've always been an Android girly, so I haven't seen my apps like as up to date as it can be. I haven't seen that yet, but it should be happening and rolled out by the end of the year. So look for that to happen. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I also forgot this, but also at PoshFest, they're changing the 1x1 square photo to now being optimized like 3x4 and 9x16 vertically. So I'm wondering how that's going to look if you do happen to have a square photo. I think it'll adjust, but I am worried about that. So that's something else. And then lastly, and then I'll dive into, I see we got a lot of questions now about Poshmark. Lastly, they have had a major app update, and everybody should have that now. So if you go and just search a few things as a buyer or check their homepage feed, you'll see it. But they've switched their app. It's got a complete revamp, and they're focused on having like lookbooks, more curated looks for certain styles, style-based collections, versus just like, hey, you frequently search J. Crew, here's some J. Crew listings, or here's what's in your most recent feed. Now, when you scroll, you'll see things tailored to what's popular and also what the buyer regularly searches or what you regularly search. It'll be curated to them. Why this is important is because now more than ever, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I've been preaching about it for like a year now. Style-based items, focusing so hard on style aesthetics, is where buyers are headed. I'm not saying all buyers are going to go that way. There's still buyers who are looking for a specific brand, a specific size, like a specific style name, but more buyers are switching over to style aesthetics. The balance, the scales have changed essentially. If you're someone who is not up to date with style aesthetics, keywords, and leaning into certain styles, which are going to get it to the right buyer, this is not a plug for RU, but you need to start learning. Like I'm telling you, that the shift has happened. There's more people looking for style aesthetics versus like those specific brand names. So I personally do all of it. I look for the brand, I look for style. We basically just look for indicators of quality, but all of these apps are focusing on that. I just saw a block for whimsy goth styles when I was browsing to kind of see what it would look from the buyer. So you definitely need to start leaning that way, at least know what it is and know what words to use. Because what I don't want to happen is for you to only focus on brand-based stuff and then realize that like you don't have any buyers. So we'd be happy to help you in Reseller's Edge. We've got like immediate hundreds of videos that will get you caught up. Or you can obviously do the research yourself. But the ones that I would specifically look into are like all of the Y2K aesthetics. Like do a deep dive on Y2K. There's branches of stuff within Y2K like Whimsy Goth, like Fairy, and that kind of thing. Those all fall under Y2K umbrella. Start looking them up, I'm telling you guys. All right, so I'd say that's it, except that was a lot. So let me know what you guys think about that. But those are all of the notes that I currently have on updates to the platform. Now, let me go ahead and we'll dive into you guys' questions here. Oh man, you got a lot of them. Let me know what update are you the least happy about, but then also let me know, is there any update at all that you actually like? Because some of them I think can be good. All right, digging into your questions. And by the way, open Q&A until we have questions or until 6. Start letting me know what questions you have at all about reselling. It doesn't have to be related to this, and I'll start smashing through those as well. Okay, Maddie J. Blige, I like that. Have you promoted on Poshmark? I did it for a month, only 5x my money. Seems like it's a bit of a cash grab. I do use Poshmark, so not sure if it is doing the same thing. Thanks. So I tried Promoted Closet one time before. This was like 6 months ago, maybe, like when they first announced it and they were offering free trials. I tried it then. I did not see a return on my investment. I sold about as much as I had spent. The thing with Promoted Closet, by the way, for those of you that aren't familiar, is it's not like eBay where you have the choice of an option like you only get charged if it sells. It's per click, which eBay has an option to do also, which I don't recommend. Poshmark is you pay up front. It's per click. So even if you don't make the sales, like they're charging you the money. So I'm kind of leery of it because of that. However, y'all have been asking me over and over again. So I decided to try it, and I've been doing it for almost 2 weeks now. I want to give it a little bit more time. And I'm kind of studying what's happening. So on the Posh promoted page, when you go to your analytics, it tells you like how many impressions you're getting, impressions like how many times it's showing up in someone's search, your click-through rate, your return on ad spend, meaning how much did you multiply how much you spent for sales. And you can go into each individual listing and see what the impressions and stuff are, which, PS, by the way, if they're doing that and can do it already, it means they're probably going to roll it out to the rest of Poshmark, I would assume, at some point, and be very much similar to like eBay Analytics, where they tell you that for your entire store, because it would only make sense that they would want you to make more sales and adjust where things weren't working. So they have the capability of doing that, but they're only presenting that for people who are doing promoted closets right now. So my return on ad spend is hovering somewhere between like 3.5 to 4 times more than what I spent, which means like, let's say I spend $100, then I'm making 350 is what that's saying, 3.5 times. The problem that I'm seeing, it's saying that the sales are coming from a promoted listing. However, there is not actually a way to tell if it actually sold under an organic listing or under a promoted listing. They do not show me that information. And so what it looks like to me, this is how I'm interpreting it, is that they're just saying, if you made any sales at all, that is part of your return on ad spend. It doesn't matter if it sold promoted or it sold organically. To me, that's what I'm seeing. So because I cannot see the difference, it makes me feel like it's a little shady. And so what I'm doing is I want to, I guess, test it out a little bit longer so that over a span of time, I can look at, am I making more week to week on a regular basis than what I was before I promoted? Because right now I just kind of don't trust their analytics. You know what I mean? So that's a long way of saying I'm testing it out again, and hopefully I'll do a full video soon, but that's how it's going so far. Yeah, I see a lot of you very frustrated with the promoted listings. I totally agree. But here's the thing, guys. We can be frustrated, but just don't stay there, because I'm seeing every single change that happens. I mean, resellers sometimes spend months talking about it. That's time you could be spending listing and moving forward. The platforms probably aren't going to change it, except maybe Poshmark, because they backtracked, but they have new management now. I don't see it changing. So in my opinion, I like to move forward as if that's the norm. I'm not going to wallow in it. It sucks. How do I move forward with this new change if it's going to stay? And I think it is. All right, let's see here. Yes, please give me a thumbs up. Oh my gosh, over 200 of you now. I wasn't sure how many people would get on with it being so late, and the fact that I really didn't give y'all any heads up, but happy to see you guys. If you want to do these weekly again, let me know. I'm really trying to. I might feel a little bit more encouraged. I know that you guys want them. All right, let's see here. Fees boosted your sales too. It was great, but then your sales have just gotten back to good enough. Is that? Yeah. Okay. Some people still don't have their shipping supplies and you order when they first came out. If you haven't already, I would probably email them again and ask for an update and probably place a new order. I've heard a lot of people like that did it in the beginning. Their order kind of like just got kicked out, but when they placed a new order, it came almost immediately. So if you haven't already, and you may have, I would definitely reach out to them and go ahead and place another order. USPS getting rid of priority makes more sense. I agree. I do agree with that. I agree with that. Posh shipping is definitely better. I'm glad to hear some of you like it. For sure. I have seen a lot of horror stories that like Ground Advantage is taking significantly longer than priority, which is weird because the USPS website is like 1 to, I think, 3 days with priority, and then it's like 3 to 5 maybe with ground. Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's not really, it should not be that much of a difference, but a lot of people are experiencing that. So Maddie J. Bly says retail priority is way too expensive. I agree. I don't think a lot of people are using it. I think a lot of people would rather pay less and have Ground Advantage and know that it's probably not going to come for, a couple extra days. I offer both. I have a business policy that offers both. So my buyer has a choice between the two. And I don't think that we've had a single priority mail package for like 6 months. Like it's all Ground Advantage. I had my shippers check that out the other day. So yeah, I've thought about switching just to Ground Advantage to make things like simpler for us, but then the holidays were coming up and I was like, I know as soon as I change it to Ground Advantage only, somebody's going to come along and they're going to ask me if I have priority mail shipping. And so we decided to keep it through the holidays, but I think after this Q4, once the new year hits, I think we're just going to switch back to Ground Advantage completely. And I kind of recommend that for any newer seller. Like, don't have multiple options. Just do a straight Ground Advantage, buyer paid calculated shipping. It's so much easier to make sure that you don't get over or undercharged. Crystal LA or Crystalla Knowles, have you heard of the advice of revamping your Poshmark titles to be simple, to include brand, style, name, size, color, keyword usage, opinions? Yeah, there's a lot of videos coming out about that. And as I said before, I am not somebody who like knee-jerk reactions something. And you guys know this about me because you've seen me go through all of these things and I tell you guys the same thing every time. And it almost always works out not to have the knee-jerk reactions. So what I can't tell where the people making these videos about this are pulling the information from where they think a title should be X, Y, and Z. I'm thinking it's from the Poshmark page that says like, hey, this is what our algorithm is like now. And it says like, these are the things that you would want to include in your listing, and they're like style, size, condition. And I think people are seeing that and thinking that that's how your title should be structured, but it's just saying that that needs to be included in your listing. So I think your listing needs to be as it always should have been, which is accurate and putting the best keywords in your title first to get it to the right buyer. And so that when your buyer sees that title with those keywords at the beginning, they have that like confirmation of, yes, that's what I was looking for. These are the exact same keywords I searched, plus any additional relevant, like strong relevant keywords in your description. And I personally think you'll be fine, but I honestly cannot make a recommendation until Poshmark gives us more information. And they're kind of leery on, I'm kind of leery on those videos telling people certain title structures, because I just don't know where they're getting that information from. And maybe I missed it. Like maybe I just missed it, but I searched and searched tonight and I could not figure out how they were formulating that opinion. Having to constantly share items on Poshmark infuriated with me. Dwayne, you brought up a good point. I totally forgot about that. They have removed bulk sharing, and they've also said that sharing doesn't really matter as much anymore. I could see them totally getting rid of sharing at some point, because like, what's the point now? There's really no point. The only reason I think they haven't yet is because they use sharing to add things to bundles, to add it to somebody's bundle, like you share it to an individual person. But I could also totally see them getting away from sharing. And I've never had that issue because we just use Poshmark and now I use Nifty for that. Let's see here. I just try to list how I think someone might search for it. Absolutely. There's also, besides what you think somebody will search for it, also be thinking if it's an item that needs a little extra like zhuzh, also be thinking, how can I elevate the listing so that, yes, you want what the buyer is actually searching for, but also if they were to see another keyword that was true for the item, would that buyer psychology kick in of like elevating that item for them? We went through a whole buyer psychology series on Reseller's Edge, and that was definitely an important factor. If they go back to priority, I'll riot. How much is Reseller's Edge University per month? We have 2 plans. One is the light version and one is the pro version. I recommend our pro version. The pro version gets you everything instantly. The light version is like a very, very small portion of dripped information to you. It is totally worth it to go pro. We made the light version as a means for somebody to like get a taste of the content of pro. And I'm not going to give you like the specific data, but I can tell you that majority of people who try out light end up going to pro within the next month. So I recommend pro immediately. It is $50 per month. And if that sounds like a lot, then you may not be ready to take that step. We priced it that way on purpose because we want people to be serious. And I think if you're a serious reseller who is planning on taking action in your business and you know that education and having the right steps and right strategies from people who have already done it, if you know that you're going to take action, then $50 is nothing because you know you're going to make it back like immediately. So if it sounds like too much, you're probably not ready to join a mentorship group because you likely will not move through the steps that you need to. So it's $50 a month. We occasionally run sales, but not very often. Do you think it's better to do lives than to post? I think it just kind of depends on your business model. Live selling is not for everybody. I think it takes a lot more building up than still selling. I would say if you want to get the most out of your items and not have to build up like a following on the platforms, then I would recommend still selling. I personally prefer still selling, but I'm also an introvert. And so when I do live selling, I do love selling on Whatnot and Posh Lives, and we do sell stuff quickly, but I'm more of like a listed on the platform kind of gal. I like to do both, but I would say for most people, it's probably better to just post. Your Posh sales surpassed your eBay ones in your past 2 weeks. That's awesome. Oh, you got Nifty after the video and it's been awesome and so easy to use. Yeah, I saw a lot of comments, not on my video, but on somebody else's video that was talking about Nifty. They were like, oh my gosh, all these influencers are talking about Nifty. Like, I'm so sick of it. Like, they're definitely being paid. I'm really not being paid by Nifty. I went on and like joined their affiliate program without being asked, like their normal affiliate program, because I knew you guys were going to ask for a discount code. And so I got it for you. But truly, truly, this is my honest opinion. Nifty has been fantastic. And I really have not met a single person who has tried Nifty and not kept Nifty and switched their platform, because it's so like instantaneous and easy. There are some things that I'm hoping they'll change, but out of all of the platforms right now, it's definitely working the best and the fastest for my business. And their auto delist, not having like any issues with that, has been amazing. If you guys are interested in that, there is a Linktree in my description that'll take you to all of my links, and you'll see the Nifty one. It's really great. And even the comments on that video, every single person was like, I switched to Nifty and I loved it. That's actually why I ended up trying Nifty, because I saw so many people in the reseller community talking about it. And I also saw in Reseller's Edge, like nonstop about Nifty. And I was like, well, I guess I have to learn Nifty because I want to be able to, talk to our members and be able to help them. And I did it for that reason. I was like, okay, we are probably switching. This is great. All right, let's look here. Their search is still trash on Poshmark, you mean? Yeah, I've seen a lot of people specifically in our group kind of like testing out the new search on Poshmark, and they're having a lot of issues. That's why I say don't have a knee-jerk reaction, because they're probably testing things out. They're probably going to refine it, and they're probably going to change things in the future and get it to be better. I do think, and I do want to say this, I'm very frustrated with Poshmark and all of these changes and the backtracking and the lack of a heads up. But I will say that I think their new CEO, I think the new team that they're hiring is focused on making the platform profitable for both them and sellers. Before, Poshmark didn't really focus on sellers. They were more focused on buyers, and they were also focused on people who just wanted to sell things out of their closet, not actual sellers, which is majority of the reselling community. Like, we're doing this to profit. And I think that this new CEO is focused on that. And so while there are changes, a lot of them, I think the end goal is going to be very beneficial to us. So I'm personally looking forward to it. It is frustrating in the meantime, but try to keep your head up about it, and just try to roll with the punches. Let's see here. What about if the buyer cancels you? I had 2 people cancel on me after packaging. You're talking about Poshmark? You're probably talking about Poshmark, but let me know if you're talking about eBay. I assume you're talking about Poshmark regarding like future cancellation things. I assume if the buyer cancels, then that's fine, because the buyer can actually cancel on their own. It's just right now, most buyers aren't going to do that. They're going to harass the seller, and then you just end up doing it, which counts against your account. So stop doing that. Make the buyer do it. But I bet it'll be like eBay. I don't know, because they've not, again, said this publicly. This is just something people are circulating and are claiming to have heard from Poshmark insider employees. But I do think that it's real. And I assume that is probably going to happen given every other change that they're making. But I would assume if the buyer cancels, like, you'll be fine. It'll be like eBay. As long as it's not you doing it for the wrong reasons, you'll be fine. But make sure to have your buyer cancel and not you. Their square foot enforcement was always an issue for you, so you like the change? Oh, good. Oh no, my chat just jumped. Let's see here. We can't really check comps anymore on Poshmark, right? I mean, I don't know about that. You can definitely see the solds still. It's just that the search is kind of messed up. So like what you search may not be clean data when you see it. And again, I think they're kind of adjusting through that. You can also use Poshwatch. They're probably affected though. If Poshmark's search is messed up, then Poshwatch's is probably also messed up. But I have been using them for Poshmark searching. You don't like that you can't tell how recently an item was updated? Yeah. I didn't know you couldn't do that. Let's see. When I search for an item on Poshmark, the default changes from just shared to relevance, like from day to day. What does your currently default filter to? I don't know. Let's see. I've been listing on Poshmark, not really searching. I do almost all of my comps on eBay. And when I do, like I said, do Poshmark comps, it's usually through Poshwatch. So let's see. Free people top embroidered. Let's see what this looks like. Relevance is what I'm getting. I will say, like, my search looks pretty normal now. I had a pretty broad search term, but it looks about right. All right, let's see here. I stopped having Nifty auto delete on Posh if it sold on another platform because I went to Posh jail twice. The issue is sometimes I forget to manually delete it. Posh stresses me out. Listen, guys, don't be afraid of being suspended on Poshmark as long as you are following the rules. If you're not following the rules, then be afraid of being suspended on Poshmark. But if you're following their rules, all that happens is they email you and they say like, hey, it's some kind of ratio. I don't know what the ratio is, but like the amount that you take down versus how much you list or sell. That's what triggers their algorithm, and their algorithm is still messed up. I just got suspended a couple days ago. They fixed it within like a few hours because I emailed back. So what you do is they email you that you're suspended. Just respond with, I have followed all of Poshmark's rules. I only take down items when they sold on other platforms, and I only relist when they're 60 days or older. If you say that, and if it's true, they will immediately reinstate you. Immediately, as in when they get to the email. I've been suspended so many times on Poshmark, but it's their algorithm automatically catching it. As long as you're truly following their rules, they will reinstate you. I am personally not going to change my workflow for Poshmark because their system is messed up when I'm following the rules. So I'm just operating normally. If I get suspended, I just send that email. They reinstate me. It does stink for the time period that I can't list. Sometimes that does disrupt us, but I think that's less disruptive than having to do like stuff like what you're talking about, where like it's not auto delisting for me, or like I have to remember to manually go do X, Y, and Z. Don't be afraid of that. As long as you are following their rules, they will reinstate you. If you're not following the rules, though, you can get your account shut down. So make sure you're actually following the rules. All right, let's look here. You'll be here anytime I am. Aw, I love you guys. Thanks. Okay. Yes, I would love to. I am struggling most with taking too long on details when listing. Any advice on getting faster at this? Amelia, I'll first say that it comes with time. I think we all experience that. I'm always working at getting faster at listings. When the first time I timed myself to do a listing, it was like ridiculous. It was like an hour for one listing. And now I can do them in about 5 minutes on average. And that's everything. That's taking all of my photos, uploading my photos, prepping the items, filling out the complete listing, like in its entirety on eBay. And so a lot of it is just practice and repetition. I guess the two things I'll say is, one, these would be my next steps. One, you need to learn what is in all of the drop downs, whether that is, can you guys still hear me? Sorry, there's been a lot of this tonight. Can y'all still hear me? My mic is like about to die. I might have to take it out, but we're about done anyways. Loud and clear. Okay, it might cut out. You guys might have to let me know. Hopefully the next 10 minutes it'll hang on. Okay, so when it comes to listing faster, you're probably overthinking everything. That's most resellers. One, I would say whatever platform you list on, eBay's probably the one that has the most, is whatever drop downs or section of the draft there are, make sure you know exactly what those are. So like eBay has a sleeve type drop down. You want to learn what all of those sleeve types are and know what's going to be there before you even click into it. If you do that, then as soon as you click into it, you can start typing, pull it up, and click on it. Why most people take so long is because when they do click on a dropdown, they don't really understand or know which things to click. And so I do think it's worth the time investment to definitely know what those things are. And so if you do know those things, you're going to fly through them faster. The second thing I'll say is you need to put in the reps. So you're going to get much faster and much better at it if you chunk that time together. So instead of listing, let's say you list one a day. Instead of doing one a day, one a day, one a day, one a day, take all 7 and do them all in one day, because that's going to help you put the reps in. It's exactly like lifting. If I go and do one bicep curl, once a day, that's not going to do anything for my muscles. It doesn't cause the muscles to grow. But if I take them all and do them all at once, it's going to stretch those muscles out and cause my muscles to grow. And it's the exact same thing with learning anything. You need to chunk them together and get that repetition in, because if not, you won't be able to recognize, well, hey, when I did the last listing, this was not fast. I wonder if I can cut it out. Versus you're doing it day to day, you're not going to remember what you just did the day before. And so batching things together, putting the reps in, like do a bunch of them at once, and then making sure you know what's in the drop downs for sure. But most likely people are definitely overthinking it. All right. How on earth will all of my white items show up? I photographed them with a black velvet background. Hey, me too. I'm honestly not sure. I am not sure. I feel like maybe they're trying to push people into using promoted listings. Probably, but if everybody used them, isn't it just like the same search and then we're all just getting charged something that doesn't benefit us? Because that's how most resellers are feeling. They're very upset with eBay. Since you start on eBay, do you start with square photos or do you change it just for Poshmark? Because Poshmark required square photos, I start everything with square photos because square photos are optimized for every platform. Actually, on eBay, this is why I'm kind of worried about the Poshmark square photo thing. On eBay, you can have like a vertical skinny photo, but you can also have a square photo. Which one looks better? It's the square photo, because when there is a thumbnail, when your buyers are scrolling the page, if you have a vertical, there's going to be like a bar of non-photo versus a square fills up the whole frame. So optimization is square photos across every platform until now with Poshmark. And so I'm probably going to continue using square photos because it's more optimized for the platform I sell the most on, which is eBay and Depop. And I'm going to see how it goes with Poshmark. If I need to adjust a few things, I'll probably have to adjust them in Nifty before I cross-post them, but I'm hoping that I won't have to do that. All right, how much does it matter which way you spell whimsygoth? There's 2 ways of spelling it. If you're going to pick one, which I think you should, whimsygoth spelled with an I versus a Y. So the one with the I is, in my opinion, the way that most people use it. The one with the Y is more of a British term, but I've also seen it both ways on like many different platforms. I personally use the I. I asked this question a long time ago, and that was the decision that I made. Not happy about the white background, but happy about the cancellation policy. I like it. Okay. Oh my goodness. I jumped in chat. 1 second here. We are getting to the end. If you have any more questions, make sure to get them in because we are about to get off here. I called the number and got my Ground Advantage packaging within a week, about a 40-minute wait time. Holy cow. Holy moly. Priority is 1 to 3, 2 to 5 is ground. Neither is guaranteed. Okay. What's your sweet spot percentage for promoted listings on eBay? I'm at 5%. It feels like it took a hit when I decreased. I would go back and watch my promoted listings video. I did a very long experiment to figure out what worked for me. It's going to be different for every person. But basically I did eBay's variable with no cap for about a week, and then I hand calculated what each one was, meaning I figured out what eBay would naturally do with their variable. And there's this common misconception that they're always going to pick the highest amount, and that's not true at all. So they'll do whatever it takes to get it there. I was at roughly like 6% to about 16%. I decided on a cap of 15% because of that. So I do a variable up to 15%. Now this might change with the new structure depending on what we decide to do. But currently I do a variable with a cap at 15%. My average though is about 9%. So I guess that's my sweet spot, is about 9% for items that sell promoted. Let's see here. More lives. Since you have vintage items, do you consider getting on Etsy to sell? I have been on Etsy before, and it was just a lot of work for not a lot of returns. So I personally have no plans to get on to Etsy right now. That was back when the cross-posting tools came out. And then I was like, yeah, let me get on every single platform and let me do everything. And then realized that I couldn't put a full effort into all of them. And so because of that, I started axing off the ones that weren't performing as well. And I was left with eBay and Poshmark. And then recently I've added Depop. So I'm trying to give a full effort into Depop before I add anything else because I think it's better that way. And I try to keep things pretty minimalist and simple. And I don't really want to get on a million platforms. I'm having a lot of success with Depop as far as vintage goes, but also like even modern stuff and brand-based stuff. Let's see. Had Nifty for over a year and love it. It's a write-off? That's true. I saw a lot of people complaining about the price of Nifty. They have other plans too, just so you guys know, but a lot of people are like, Nifty is, I think it's like about $80, something like that. But Nifty also replaces a lot of like sharing and offer tools too. So it's like, instead of paying for 2 services, you can pay for 1. And to me, it's totally worth it. Like totally worth it. Dorothy said, I switched from Light to Pro in 2 days. I love it. It's the best. You learn something new every day. Oh, I love hearing that, you guys. We've had a lot of members having a lot of success and a lot of feedback in the group. You know what comment I'm talking about? Okay, let's see here. A lot of Nifty, a lot of REU feedback. Every month I can assign one sale that paid the membership that I would not have known without the knowledge. Love hearing it. 2 things that make Nifty life-changing are the ability to set listings to go live. You can finally go away for a few days and set your business on autopilot. Truth. The AI listing generator, I personally don't use that, but I know that a lot of people do and have been loving it. I heard their AI is really good. Could you do a video maybe on the best way to set up Nifty settings? Yeah, maybe. I just filmed a what sold video right before this, and I included a couple things about like Nifty analytics, so you'll see that soon, but yes. What is Nifty? Nifty is a cross-posting tool that is blowing up in the reseller community, and I just switched to it. Chat jumped and your question got skipped, Valerie. I'm sorry. Put your question down below because I'm almost toward the end and I want to make sure we don't miss you. Put it down in the chat again. Is Reseller's Edge University open to Canadian sellers? Would the information be relevant to us? We have several Canadian sellers in our group. I would say that most information is relevant because a lot of it can be applied in any model and any business. It's just like the fastest way to make money in the least amount of time. So I think that most things can be true for Canadian resellers. I think the only thing that would be possibly different is maybe when we do deep dives on like a specific brand, maybe you don't have that brand in your area or specific shipping things. But other than that, I mean, we focus on business, mindset, strategy. We do deep dives on tons of things. I just did a bra deep dive and I didn't think it would be as popular as it was, but then everybody went out in the bra section and found like tons of bolos. So we do all kinds of stuff. keywords. I think most of it would be relevant to you, and I know our Canadian sellers do love it. Do you consult with Resellers Edge members on their individual stores or closets? We don't offer one-on-one coaching. It's all a group setting. However, on any single one of our live calls, we go live every single day, and you can watch the replays if you can't get on the lives. But at the end of every single one, we do a Q&A. You can ask any questions. If you're willing to pull up your store and say, hey, I need to know what this is about or what I can do better, if you're willing to share your screen amongst the other members or ask specific questions, we will answer any of them. We also typically once a month do closet review calls, and Nikki usually does those. So anybody that wants to get onto those that can make it can post their store and she'll do a store review. But literally any of the calls you can hop on and ask us. And there's also the private Facebook group and our pro membership, so you can ask your question there and we can try to get to you. So it's not one-on-one, like not a virtual one-on-one with any of us, but you can get individual coaching just in a group setting. And that's honestly probably the best way to use Resellers Edge. I have a question. How will these new changes affect new sellers, specifically when you're starting with less than 1,000 items? I mean, I think they affect everybody the same way. I think as long as you are listing good items with a demand, you're getting them to the right buyer, that you'll be fine. And I think it'll actually be more of a benefit because specifically talking like Poshmark, you won't have to rely on constantly sharing. You'll have to rely on actual good items with good quality listings, and I think you'll be fine. Have you noticed the filters 61 days up isn't accurate? I'm not sure what you mean. Tell me what you mean, Colleen. For Poshmark, you listed a nail polish and it was taken down for a prohibited item. Yeah, they have several prohibited items. I mean, eBay does too. All platforms do. I'm thinking like fur. Fur is one, certain like kinds of fur. I let my dog out of this room. He's whining. 1 second. He is not happy. He's like, get off, Mom. You said 6. All right, let me get through these questions real quick. Let's see here. I thought Poshmark recently came out against the use of bots, period, like automated sharing services. Is that not true? Not really. If anything, they've kind of backed off of it. I feel like they are getting rid of things like sharing because like the only people benefiting from them are the, third-party platforms that are, causing sharing to be super easy. But no, they came out with something about third-party stuff. And what they said was that basically use at your own risk. And as long as you're not doing anything that's like super crazy, like the excessive listing things, you'll be fine. And also, just so you guys know, pretty much every cross-listing tool, including Nifty and List Perfectly, and I think Vendu might have been there. I know they were there last year. They're all sponsors for PoshFest. And in order to be a sponsor and have a booth, you go through a vetting process, and they don't accept everybody. And so that means that all of those cross-listing tools had to tell them what they do, and they had to be approved and have a sponsored booth to promote at PoshFest. And so Poshmark wouldn't do that if they weren't comfortable with those places. Do I believe in AI models for listings? I don't have a problem with it. I think that they take a lot of time. I'm personally not doing it for every single listing. But ones that I think maybe need reworked or you can't really see the item, I think it's better than, taking the company's property and using a stock photo. I think it's better that way. Okay. But I don't think you should do it for every listing because it takes forever, personally. Where can I read more about the Poshmark changes you got here late? You can rewatch this. So this video will start uploading as soon as I end the live, so you can rewatch it if you want. By the way, on YouTube, you can watch things on 1.5 speed, 2 speed, like whatever you want. So That would be an easy way to get through it. Other than that, you can go to the Poshmark blog and look up any updates. But I did share some things in here that are not on their blog yet that you might want to listen to. What do you do when you can't find an item that's sold? I apologize to the buyer and I cancel it in the best way possible. On eBay, I try to actually on every platform, I offer the buyer another solution. I say something like, I'm really sorry, with over 3,000 items, we do make mistakes time from time. I'm so sorry, but I don't have this item to ship. It sold somewhere else and got accidentally relisted. Would you like me to cancel the order, or would you like to replace the item with something of similar value and ship that instead? And almost every single person says, go ahead and cancel. And I use that as an opportunity to cancel by the buyer asking on eBay. I know some people have said that the audio might be slightly different. Let me know what you guys can hear. I'll be getting off in just a second, but let me know. All right, looking at these questions here. I use List Perfectly and have, can you guys still hear me? I use List Perfectly and have 1,250 items. Would it be a big time suck to change to Nifty? No. You should watch the video I just did about getting started on Nifty in 10 minutes or less. Literally, I had about 4,000 listings when we switched to Nifty, and it literally took me less than 10 minutes. It's that fast and that accurate. So recommend watching that video. You can step by step do what I did and get that literally moved over in 10 minutes and you'll be good to go. And they have a trial. They have a trial and tutorials, but they have a trial. So, I mean, you can literally get synced up within 10 minutes, play around with it for a week and decide if you like it. And if you don't like it, don't use it, and stay with List Perfectly. I am a big believer, use what works good, for you. For a long time, List Perfectly was the best one for me. This one is even better in my current situation with my workflow. That doesn't mean someday I won't switch to a different one or back to List Perfectly, but for right now, Nifty is so good and is the one, honestly, I'm worried for some of these other cross-listing platforms. They are way ahead of the curve when it comes to syncing everything and making it super easy. But other platforms have different features that Nifty doesn't have, so I recommend trying it out. Get set up in 10 minutes. It syncs automatically. You'll be good to go. Anyone give you some advice? I don't know what those are. Twangani fleeces? I would say do a comp search. Where do I find out about the group? It is resellersedgeuniversity.com. If you go to my description box, there's a link there, but I'll also post it in the chat for you. And all the information's on our website of what it includes. You won't know the exact like calls or times until you actually get in there and see our call schedule, but everything is set up in advance. You'll see we have a reseller roadmap, so you'll have like links to everything, including our call schedule. Generally, our time is different for each day. Generally, they're about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we do have some that are in the evening too, so it just kind of depends on what day it is. And if you can't make them, we do replays for almost everything. So if you're a lurker, you're more introverted like me, you don't have to get on any of the live calls. You can just watch the replays, and we already have literally hundreds of videos that you'll get immediately from previous replays and the course videos. Do you have an LLC? Yes, I do. Is that needed to hire part-time employees? No. Well, that's a good question. No, you do not have to have an LLC to do it, but yes, I do have an LLC. I don't know if you should buy the Twangani fleeces. please do a comp search and decide if they fit your sourcing constitution, because everybody's is different. What times do I think are the best time to post? If you want to really optimize, the best time would be when people are most likely on the platform, which would be early mornings, during lunchtime, when they get home from work, and late in the evening. However, what's even better than that, and what in my opinion overrides that, is whatever you can be consistent with. So personally, it would be a huge disruption to my workflow to try and schedule things at different times. So we just literally schedule them for 8 in the morning and we just flush them out. And I mean, we make consistent sales, so it's not going to give you that much of a boost if you're selling great items to begin with. But if you really wanted to optimize, that's when I would do it. Oh, you meant Reseller's Edge is a write-off? That's true. It's education. It's an educational subscription. Definitely a write-off. Let your accountant know. When you're looking to relist an item that's 60 days or older, a lot more that popped up is older. Not sure what you mean by that. Is it true that there is prohibited words or brands? Yes, there's prohibited things on every single platform. Specifically on eBay, you can look up their Vero list where companies will come after you for certain words. A pretty common one on eBay, for instance, is Velcro. You cannot use the word Velcro. Have to use hook and loop. Onesie is another one. You cannot use onesie. There's quite a few things. Oop, 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 we jumped. Let's see here. Hi, Cayley. When did you start selling? When you started selling in the beginning of reselling, when did you start seeing over 2K sales per month? How many months or years did it take to get there? That is a good question. I'm not exactly sure, because to be honest with you, I didn't track a lot of it in the beginning, because I wasn't, doing the things. I would wait till like tax time and then do all my accounting for the year only to realize I'd lost money. So I'm not really sure when I hit 2K. I would say probably like a year in, except I was part-time, like very part-time. I was not consistent. I was just like list sporadically, and I knew nothing about sell-through rate. I just picked up things that I thought were cute. I surprisingly did have a good keyword game back then. I just didn't know that that's what I was doing. I do remember I was working my 2019, the end of 2019 is when I switched to full-time reselling. I started as a hobby in 2016, and in 2019 at the end I flipped to full-time reselling. And I do remember being at my corporate job and pulling up my eBay store and seeing that my 90-day total was around $14,000, which means that I would have been around like $3,000 to $4,000 per month gross. So, and that was again part-time, like working like a couple hours a week. So I don't have an exact answer, but hopefully that helps you out a little bit. How long it can take somebody else, honestly, with all of the information that's out there and the ability to talk to a mentor, or again, not trying to push a reselling group to you, but if you get in one, like you can get there so much faster with the right information. If you do YouTube University like I did, you're going to be swimming through a lot of incorrect information and go through a lot of mistakes. So we have people in our group, and there's people in my YouTube comments too who just started a few months ago and are already at $2,000 net per month. So it just depends. You got to get the right information though, and you have to put the work in. You have to actually like do what it says. And then I promise that will happen. So it's different for everyone. It took me forever because I learned everything off the internet. Found a vintage dress the other day and went to comp the brand. Immediately found a listing that had the same vintage dress on an AM model. I thought the seller might be an RU. Possibly. Maybe. Ooh, my mic did cut out for a second. Yes, thank you, Kitty Castle. Please hit the like button. We're about to get off of here. I'm just answering the rest of you guys' questions. Does Nifty have an app for phones? They do not have an app yet. I could see them doing it in the future, but they do have a mobile version. So you can just open up Chrome on your phone and go to their site, and you can actually cross list on it. Like you do everything. Because it's cloud-based, you don't need an extension in order to use it, which is something that I love. So you don't have to have your device on. Once you get it set up, it's all cloud-based. And so you can do it from your phone. I actually tested that out last night because I was like, I actually don't know if you could do it from your phone. Let me try to cross-post a few things, and yeah, it worked. So they don't have an app, but you can do it on Chrome on their website on your phone, which is pretty cool. And like I said, you once you set it up, like the auto delist happens in the background. You don't have to have your phone, like you don't have to do anything once you set it up. What do you think about listing on Mercari? Yeah, my dog was waiting for me. He's been like, he wants to be with his dad. He's been in here for too long. What do you think about listing on Mercari? I used to list on Mercari similar to Etsy. I did that whole dance and it just wasn't worth it. And I knew that if I focused the time I was putting into those other platforms into the ones that were already working for me, that I'd make more money. So I got rid of Mercari. And I would say, because I work with tens of thousands of resellers every single week here on YouTube and in Reseller's Edge more privately, majority, like 95% of sellers who are on Mercari say it's not worth it. So that's my opinion. Last night I noticed multiple items in my closet that were not yours in your closet. You found that very concerning. That's not good. There's a cross-listing tool. Is it Prime Lister? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There's some cross-listing tool. I'm pretty sure it's Prime Lister that's in a bunch of trouble right now with the reseller community because that was happening to them. I don't know all the details, but they were essentially creating fake listings and putting them on sellers' accounts, I think to promote activity. They've since backtracked and stopped doing that, and like you have to get permission to do that. I have no idea why they were doing it, but that was a problem. Do you use Prime Lister? Because if you do, that's probably the issue. I've seen some things floating around about that, which is scary. Very scary. What is the list called? I'm not sure what list you're talking about. Too quiet for some of you guys. Sorry, my mic died. I'm trying to be as loud as I can on my phone volume. And after we get through these questions, I'll be getting off of here. When you are trying to repost a listing and you click on 6 days older in the filter, there are a lot more items that are 6 days or older and don't pop up. Are you talking about Poshmark or like Nifty or what? Oh, the prohibited word list. eBay has the Vero list. You can go look at that. And then for Poshmark, you can search prohibited items. eBay actually, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been doing sponsorship videos with eBay. So I'm learning a lot of cool things and talking to eBay behind the scenes. And they literally just asked me about doing one about prohibited items. So it's so funny that you said that. Let's see here. So maybe I'll have some more information soon. Are we live? We are. I'm about to get off, but I'm glad you made it at the last second. Make sure to watch the replay. We had some really good conversation. Hello. How many listings do you list per day? We dropped down many months ago to 20 listings per day. So I'm only doing 20 right now. We could do more, but I'm taking my time and putting it into Reseller's Edge, which takes a lot. Let's see here. Vero. Yep, Vero. Just go to Google, look up eBay Vero list for Poshmark. Go to just search Poshmark prohibited items. All right, you guys. Well, I think I am through every single thing. If you had a question that was missed, you should have dropped it in the chat by now. I don't think that I've missed everybody. Oh, what is my I did miss somebody. What is my discount code for Nifty? It is in my Linktree, but I can pull it for you guys real quick if you give me just a second. So what you'll want to do if you want to have the best discount through Nifty is you will want to sign up for their free trial, pick which subscription you think is going to be best. And when you're signing up for the trial, at the bottom of that page, there's a little thing that says have a code ? Put the code in even if you're not sure that you're going to stick with it, because if you do decide to keep it, I just dropped it in the chat for you. grab it real quick because I'm about to get off. If you do decide to keep it, then when you get charged your first month, you'll have that discount. If you don't do it during the trial period, I don't think that they can like apply it. Something else too, I've got a lot of fun things that I learned about Nifty, but something I will tell you is that they import your sales. They will only import, I think it's about 3 months, but I emailed them and I asked if there was any way they could import longer, and they emailed me back and imported like this year and all of last year, like just for me immediately. So you can do that if you didn't know. Their customer service is really great. And the things that they're missing, I think they're working on. I think they're very busy because like I said, they have blown up and become super popular. All right, you guys. Well, I am going to get off here. It was so good to see all of you. I had a lot of fun and I hope to do this more. And yeah, I'm going to go enjoy my evening and dinner. My husband made me steak, which is my favorite. All right, I will see you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.